Here we go. Mailbag again. Here we go. Number 2, guys. We're going through our second mailbag here. And this one says, Doc, a family member was just recently diagnosed with Wegener's disease. Now, this is an interesting one because the doctor that came up with this came up in the German Reich, and they decided to change the name of this thing not too long ago, and they just said, hey, we can't go by that name any longer because the guy was a German scientist. So they got away from it. It's a granulomatosis polyangiitis. And so basically what's happening here, you've got a chronic inflammation that's occurring in the vascular system of the body, in the arteries, the veins, things of that nature. They're inflamed. Now, the question here is saying, what would you do with this? What would be your plan? It's a 22-year-old female. She's receiving plasma. She's getting dialysis and has lung nodules. Now, so let's look at the condition itself. You have an inflammatory condition of the vascular system of the body. Okay, so you're getting a hardening, basically, of the arteries, sometimes the veins. All these things are getting inflamed. So we go back to this concept and say, okay, what does it affect? Well, it tends to affect the organs that are on the other end of the blood supply because they're not getting enough. So all of a sudden, kidneys, lungs, those are some of the big ones that you'll see with this. So the question then becomes, hey, what do you do? Well, let's look at what it is, right? They classify it as an autoimmune disorder. So right away, when we look at that, we say, okay, we have an autoimmune disorder that is chronic, long-standing inflammation. Now, treatment for it. Steroids are always first, but if that doesn't work, they'll get into chemotherapy drugs. They'll do all kinds of stuff that suppress immune function. I understand the concept here, and I know what they're going with, and I understand, hey, we got to slow this thing down, we got to control the inflammation. Now, in my world, on our side of the fence, when we see autoimmune, we start thinking to ourselves, why would the body attack itself? What would the purpose be? Something must be agitating it or aggravating it at a cellular level. You got to go hunt for that. Where would you start? I'd start with an IUP immediately. Run an integrated urinalysis panel. Why? Because it lets you know where the body is spending its resources trying to stay normal, trying to stay balanced. So you can pick up things on this test. It'll tell you, gosh, man, I'm really getting pushed hard in the liver or the pancreas or maybe the kidney or the female hormonal system. Something's getting pushed really, really hard. Then support those somethings. Say, all right, can we help support those tissues while we go looking for the cause? Guys, the therapies are like pumping air into a tire. All right, everyone comes in to see you. They see me, they go to the hospital, they go to the doctor. Nobody comes in and says, man, I feel fantastic. I want to stay feeling fantastic. I just don't see that very often. I'd love to. I just don't see it very often. Most of the time when people come in, they got a leaky tire, a little low in air. And so sometimes you can just pump it back up and you're good to go. But if you don't find why the tire lost air, then guess what? It just loses air again. And so they pump more air into that tire. Now, what happens if there's a nail in that thing? It doesn't matter how often they pump air and it's going to keep going flat. What happens if the hole in the sidewall of that tire is the size of a fist? They can't pump enough air in to catch up. So this is where you're at with this. So you go back and you say, okay, we got 2 commonalities here. It's autoimmune and chronic inflammation. Find the cause. Go through and look at the body and say, all right, we're going to run an integrated urinalysis panel. We're going to see where the body's spending its energy and its resources and try and see if there's a leak in the tire somewhere. There might be several. Patch the leaks you can fix. Fix what you can. If you can find 25 things going on in that body, maybe only 2 of them are feeding this bear. But if you can get rid of the other 20, all of a sudden the body goes, wow, I'm not spending all my money on these things. Now I can use those resources over here. And you start there. I'm not against the therapies they're doing. I understand exactly what they're after. But you're going to have to try and turn this boat around the best you can. Medicine's telling you, look, if she's already on dialysis, that kidney's being beat to death. You got to help support it. You got to try to figure out, all right, what other things are on this body that we can get rid of so these other therapies have a chance. And that's exactly where I would start with that. And I would start soon because your window's not real big when things get this far gone.